Hello friends, today we are going to start our discussion on module 4, which is about heat exchangers. So this is a very simple module. The concepts here are very simple to understand, very easy to understand. The only thing is that you have to practice more problems, and these problems are mainly based on using how well you use your data books. So especially for heat exchangers, please get familiarized with our data book. So I recommend whenever you study heat exchangers, keep your data books very near to you. So let's start. So heat exchanger, basically, as the name suggests, it is a device used to exchange heat from one surface to another. So in our scope of study, we are dealing with two fluid heat exchangers, that is, one fluid exchanges heat to another. So there is a common terminology in using heat exchangers. There are two fluids basically, the hot fluid and the cold fluid. The hot fluid refers to a fluid which gives heat to the other fluid. So naturally, the hot fluid can be identified as a fluid which loses its temperature. Not necessarily be always true, but it is a check. That is, the hot fluid always loses its heat, therefore temperature may decrease. And vice versa, we have the cold fluid which accepts heat from the hot fluid and it increases its temperature. Okay. And by energy balance, when there is no other surface of contact and there is no other heat losses, all heat lost by the hot fluid is accepted by the cold fluid. So this is one of the basic assumption on which heat exchanger analysis is working. Okay. So here we have to study the methods of designing a heat exchanger and the analyzing of heat exchanger, etc. So basically the whole chapter will be covering only 2 points, namely 2 methods. The one is the LMTD method and the other is the effectiveness MTO method. Okay, we will come to that later. First heading is the classification of heat exchangers. Classification of heat exchangers, there are different classification strategy. The one is according to heat transfer process. The second one is according to constructional features. And the third one is according to flow arrangement. So these are the 3 types of classifications, and in each 3 we have several other classification types. So let's get in detail. According to heat transfer process, the heat exchangers can be direct contact type, transfer types, and regenerators or storage type. Okay. So direct contact type heat exchanger, let us look into a figure. This is a cooling tower. Cooling tower, I think you already are familiar with. These can be seen at the end of a power plant where the steam coming out from the turbine goes to a nearby lake where it exchanges heat with the nearby river or something, and it gets cooled for the next cycle to begin. So it's basically a condenser. So here what happens is warm water from the condenser, it goes through this channel and it is being sprinkled, and cool air comes through the bottom side and goes out as hot, warm or moist air. So here the why it is called direct contact is the water and air are the 2 fluids and these are in direct contact. Okay, and let us identify which is the hot fluid and cold fluid. Here water loses its heat to air, therefore water is the hot fluid and air is the cold fluid. Now the next type is transfer type heat exchangers, or these are otherwise called recuperators. Transfer type heat exchangers are the most widely used, and in our scope of study in this lesson we'll be dealing with transfer type heat exchangers only. Transfer types are there is no direct contact between the heat exchangers, there is a wall between them. So it is tube in tube, so concentric tube heat exchangers, etc. are examples of transfer type heat exchangers. Now we have yet another type, regenerator or storage type heat exchanger. Here the storage type heat exchanger has a peculiar function. A hot fluid moves over a surface called a matrix or matrix. So when the hot fluid moves over surface, this hot fluid transfers its heat to the surface and it goes out as cold fluid. It goes out cold. After that, once the cold fluid enters the storage type heat exchanger, this surface which earlier accepted the heat now gives heat to the cold surface, cold fluid. So there is no direct heat exchange between the hot and cold fluid, but the hot fluid gives its heat to a storage medium, which is essentially a matrix, solid material, and this solid material gives heat to the cold fluid later on. So the hot fluid and cold fluid enters and leaves the heat exchangers at different times, and these can be generally seen in many industrial application, especially refrigeration and all. In Stirling cycle refrigerators we can see these kind of storage type heat exchangers. They are otherwise called regenerators. Now according to constructional features, we have tubular heat exchangers. This is the one and only the main thing we are going to study in this chapter, tubular heat exchangers. So this is actually a transfer type heat exchanger also, based on heat transfer process. Here it is otherwise called tubular because a tube is there on which another tube is concentric over it. So it's otherwise called double pipe heat exchangers, tube in tube heat exchangers, concentric tube heat exchangers, etc. Now another type is called the shell and tube heat exchangers. I think there is a figure which is self-explanatory. This figure, let's see. So here we have a shell, and on this shell there are so many tubes occurring, and one fluid will come to the shell side and another fluid will go to the tube side, and heat exchange occurs between shell and tube side fluids. And we have baffles over here to orient the flow for better heat exchange capacity. So please read these things more in detail from text. So these are important for our problem. Suppose shell side fluid in. So this is actually one shell pass, that is one shell is there and two tube pass. Why? Because there is two tube pass here. You can see that one passes this one and second passes this one. So there are two tube passes. Now let us see the next one. Here it is two shell pass. Why? Because this single shell is converted into two shells by this partition. Now two shell and two tube pass. So each shell is having two tube pass. So altogether two shell and two tube pass heat exchangers. Now the next type is finned tube heat exchanger. Finned type tube heat exchangers are used in refrigerators and all, where more effective heat exchange at a faster rate is required. That is, there is an additional employment of fins on one side to increase the heat transfer. Now there are the compact heat exchangers. Compact heat exchangers are generally termed as a heat exchanger whose area to volume ratio is very high. That is, for a fixed volume, if there is more area for heat exchangers, it is called a compact heat exchangers. And for a general thumb rule, 700 meter square per meter cube. Heat exchanger with an area density greater than 700 meter square to meter cube is called a compact heat exchangers. Okay. Now the next type of classification is according to the flow arrangements. According to the flow arrangements, heat exchangers can be the parallel flow, the counter flow, the cross flow. These are very easy to understand. See the figure. In the parallel flow, suppose the hot fluid enters through the inside tube and cold fluid through the external tube. The relative flow arrangement of the hot and cold fluid is parallel. they are like in direction. So these are called parallel flow arrangements. Once you know the counter, you can understand. Counter flow, see, the cold fluid enters in the opposite direction and the hot fluid enter relate to the hot fluid. So it is a counter flow arrangement. Now we have another flow called cross flow. Cross flow, I think the figure is self-explanatory. See, the tube side fluid goes through a perpendicular direction to the other fluid. So it is a cross flow type. It can be both fluid unmixed, one fluid mixed and one fluid unmixed, like that. Then there can be two fluid mixed, two fluid unmixed. So there are various configurations for that also. Now let us see the temperature distribution for each case. For parallel flow heat arrangement, please see the figure. For the parallel flow heat exchanger, we know that the hot fluid enters at a higher temperature and goes out at a lower temperature. Cold fluid always comes at a lower temperature and goes out as a hot fluid. So the temperature distribution will be like this. It is very simple to understand. But for the counterflow heat exchanger, although the hot fluid loses its temperature to the cold fluid and the cold fluid increases its temperature, since the orientation of the flow is different, the graph will be coming to like this, because the cold fluid enters at the right position and it goes out through the leftmost end. Okay. Now we have another special type of temperature distribution, which is for an evaporator. Evaporator is any equipment in which one fluid is evaporating. Okay. So here the fluid which is evaporating, it accepts heat but it doesn't increase its temperature. For example, water evaporates if it is boiling at 100 degrees Celsius. It doesn't increase its temperature, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't accept heat. So here water is the cold fluid which accepts heat. So likewise we have the evaporator in which the hot fluid loses its temperature and the cold fluid gains heat only without any temperature change. Likewise we have the condenser. Here the one fluid loses its heat but it doesn't change its temperature. So that is condenser. And for shell and tube we can draw like this. If there is one shell pass and two tube pass, let's see, one shell, the shell side fluid, suppose it is a hot fluid, so the hot fluid loses its temperature. Now the cold fluid enters at the right position, right? Inlet is right position, and it increases the temperature. And once it reaches the full length, the relative direction of motion for the tube side fluid is reversed, so resulting in difference in arrangement. That is, initially it is a counterflow arrangement, and finally when it goes out, initially it is in parallel arrangement, and finally when it goes out it is in counterflow arrangement. So the graph will be initially temperature like this and then going upward as like in a counterflow heat exchanger. Okay. So with that we'll conclude the first session of heat exchanger. I was a bit fast in explaining. Why? Because this you have to study from the notes which I have already given. So if there is any doubt or clarifications required, please please feel free to comment in my comment sections. Thank you.